boldip.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Bold Inventor Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, and I do not have my co-host with me today, Matt Colseth. He's on the shores of some beach, and I actually don't remember what destination he's at, but he and his family are enjoying some time off. So he'll be back next week. So we'll keep our discussion mostly about patents today. I can touch on trademarks, and I think we will. We've got a great guest. I just spoke with him, Douglas Forte, and he's waiting backstage. Hopefully we get a few live audience members in. But if you missed us and you're watching the show afterward, we are live at noon Pacific on the West Coast, Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern in the afternoon. If you want to catch us Wednesday at 12 Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Come with your hypotheticals, come with legal questions. But if you have anything that's confidential, please don't share that here on this forum. This is not a privileged discussion, not a place to share confidential information. I do have a live broadcast disclaimer I'll put up here. If we do get any live questions, I will prioritize those. We'll get those to our guests, or I'll try to answer them. And yeah, there we go. There's a disclaimer. Perfect. All right. Well, let's get to our guest. I've got Douglas. Douglas, welcome to the Bold Inventor Show.
Hi, pleasure to be here. Thank you, JD.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for being game for me just quizzing you about who you are and what your invention is. And, why don't we start with that? Just a brief introduction about yourself and maybe, bring us back before this invention that we're going to be talking about. What got you excited about dumpsters of all things?
Well, it's not really being excited about dumpsters. It's solving a common problem. My primary business is I'm a commercial builder. We're commercial builders. We own commercial property. And the problem we were seeing on our own properties was the carelessness when they were servicing the dumpsters for the locations that we had. Drivers were coming in, they're coming in at angles, and they were knocking the enclosures over.
Okay.
So that was becoming a big problem. A lot of them, we had fenced enclosures. It wasn't a costly expense to repair, but we had some buildings that had nice brick detailed enclosures, and they kept knocking them over. So one of the projects that we did, the last part of the job was building the enclosure. It was a beautiful brick building. And I called the mason up. I said, listen, you have to come out and finish this job. You didn't finish dumpster enclosure. He says, you want to do it out of brick? I said, yeah, I want you to use the same detail you did on the building and put it on the enclosure. He says, you're just wasting your time. He said, within a matter of a week, they're going to knock it over. I said, don't worry about that. I'll take care of that. And thus the idea of the dumpster guard was born. Our motto is ideas are solving common problems. The best way to solve common problems are simple ideas. So they built it. I had the idea. I actually filed for a patent before I put the idea in.
Nice.
I had another issue where I had another idea and I didn't file for the patent, and somebody took it, and I filed for it.
Okay, you had some lessons learned there. Okay.
Life is about learning lessons. So I learned a valuable lesson there. So before I do anything, if I have an idea, I jot it down, I send it off to the patent office, and I file it. And I don't know if a lot of people know that you can file for a patent. Anybody can file for a patent.
Yes.
And it just sits on the shelf for a year, but at least it's registered and it's sitting on the shelf. If somebody comes up with an idea the day after you come up with the idea and file for it, well, they're next in line, but you have priority. So what happened was I filed for it. I built my idea, and it actually started to take off. The location was actually a Starbucks. We built this beautiful brick Starbucks, and I put the dumpster guard in the Starbucks, and then Starbucks called up and says, "Wow, this is a great idea. Can we buy it?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll sell you this. I'll sell it to you. Not a problem." So we did that, and then we had Dunkin' Donuts. We built the Dunkin' Donuts, and they said, "Hey, great idea. Can we put this in other locations?" I said, "Yeah, not a problem." So it kind of became a side hustle. It really wasn't a company that I was setting up. It was more of I had a need for something. I need to protect my own property, and then it kind of morphed into something more.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, got it. So it really isn't protecting the dumpsters; it's the dumpster enclosure.
the enclosure.
Usually made of, like you said, brick and masonry,
Right.
and so it usually matches the facade of the building. I do have your website pulled up. Maybe that'd be a good place to kind of show this off.
Mm-hmm.
You've got sort of this, animation video. So this is the dumpsterguard.com.
Right. So this is, you have it at a good point. So that's basically it. So in dumpster enclosures, normally they put bollards, steel tubes, steel pipes in the back side of the enclosure. Well, the problem with that is it only protects the back wall. Well, what about the two side walls? Nine times out of 10, the drivers come in at an angle, and the dumpster slides to the side. And it just takes a small tap, and the wall goes over. So this controls the container from the time it's lifted up to the time it's replaced. It controls the actual placement. There's very little room, very little wiggle room for the container to move. And you think that the drivers would have a problem with this because it kind of, I'm not going to say it slows them up, but it makes them more cautious about how they handle it. But it actually takes the responsibility off their back when servicing the enclosure, servicing the container, because they don't have to worry about damaging the enclosure. A lot of these guys back in the day when I first came out with this, they used to get fired. They would get fired if they damaged the enclosure.
Oh,
and like in the animation, it says, the damage that's caused ranges anywhere from $1,700 to $3,000 or $4,000 to repair.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual product. So the actual, I imagine it's that yellow, cylindrical piping, the tubing, right? That's
correct.
The guard. Is it a standard size, or is it sort of made to fit?
Dumpsters are actually a standard dimension.
Okay.
They're standard width dimension. As you can see, we have different sizes. You have for 6 to 8 yard containers. You have smaller containers. We have a shallower guard for the smaller containers, but we have an expandable series where we can expand them out from 2 to for infinity. Actually, I just sold expandable 12. They have 12 containers lined up one after another.
Okay.
So
it can go all the way out.
It can go all the way up. So this actually brought New York City about a year and a half ago. New York City called me up because we have a big rat problem here in New York City.
Okay.
And they called up and they said, saw your product online. We like it. We'd like to use it. I said, okay. So I'm thinking, well, you'll use it here, they'll use it there. They wind up ordering 400 units that they needed within a matter of 3 months. And we were able to pull it off, and they're throughout upper Manhattan, where they have from 1 to 6 containers lined up in parking spaces on the streets of New York.
That's incredible. Congratulations. That's a big win. Talk to me about, I know we're kind of skipping around, but manufacturing side. So how did you get that lined up? You had your patent on, I assume you had not yet developed that when you filed. How did you find a manufacturer that would be able to kind of grow with you?
Okay, so the way it was developed was I learned how to weld real quick. Okay, so like I said, I'm in the building business. I went to school for architecture. I've always built things. I'm very good with my hands. I have a very mechanical mind. Not to pat myself on the back, but I know how things go together, and I learn quick on how to put things together. And when I came up with the idea, I brought in a welder of mine, and I explained to him with sketches that I had created of what I wanted. And basically, it was a rough idea, but it worked. So from there, I kind of fine-tuned everything, went online, and started looking at how I can make these bends. Because if you look at our product, you see everything has soft bends in it, has radiuses in the back and radiuses in the front to keep the loader from getting damaged when it's servicing the dumpster. And the way I did, the first one I made was all in parts. Every bend was a separate part. I had long stretches of pipe. I'd weld it to another piece, and again, I didn't know anything about welding. And it's amazing what you can learn online. So I went out and I bought a very expensive welder. And like I said, we own commercial property. And I took one of our multi-tenant industrial units that we just built. I took one of the units and I set up a shop. And after work, I would go there and I would start welding. And I would weld and I would weld. And then I would take out a grinder and I would start polishing it and polishing it and polishing it till it looked like a car by the time it was done. It was beautiful. They were beautiful. It took me forever to build it, but it was beautiful when it was done. Until the welding.
Yourself. Yeah,
I did it myself. Yeah. Okay. So I did it myself. And we deal with a few national REITs, real estate companies that are nationwide. I had one of the property managers stop by and I said, hey, got this great idea. We use it at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and IHOP and all these locations. How do I sell this to you? He says, oh, it's a great idea. How are you going to ship it? They own properties all over the country. How are you shipping it? Because these things are 8 feet wide, just about 8 feet wide by 8 feet long.
And steel, I imagine.
And steel and heavy, about 400 pounds. I said, you know what? You're right. How am I shipping it? The other ones we were able to bring out to the site and put it in place and my guys would install it. So that came up with, all right, I have to be able to break this down. So we were able to break it down into 3 pieces, created a splice system where they could basically bolt together. And that created the expandable idea where I created an expandable section in the middle that allowed us to create seating, a place for not 1, but 2, but 4, but 8, and keep expanding it out. And people love that because a lot of times they have multiple containers in an enclosure. Yep. And we were able to get it on a pallet that was 28 inches wide by 96 inches long. Okay. And it worked out. We were able to ship them, and we ship them all over the country, even into your neck of the woods, actually.
Yeah, we're up in Washington State. So okay, let's circle back, and I'm kind of going backward. Let's go back to the patent side because we're
sure.
bold patents. By the way, you're not a client of ours. Just a quick notion. So it sounds like you filed on your own. Did you ever hire a patent attorney, patent counsel along the way? And when did you do that?
Actually, at the very beginning. When I say I filed on my own, that's not really true. I didn't file on my own. I went online and I looked up patent attorney near me. Okay. And I found somebody within a matter of a mile of my house. Worked out of his house, and I don't know how you work, but this guy worked out of his house, and I basically showed him the sketches. I showed him all my sketches. I said, "This is what I want to build, and I want to get it filed." Like I said, I had experience with patents before and not filing for them, and I wanted to go through the proper steps before I introduced this to anybody or put it out in the marketplace, because that's the whole thing. I'm sure the people that watch your program know. Once you put it out, it's no longer patentable. You can't patent it.
There's a 1-year grace period here in the U.S., which is nice. But if you offer for sell it, disclose it, the timer starts. So it's got to be filed within a year. And you kind of forego the rights in Europe, which does require absolute novelty. You can't file or publish. Yeah. So go ahead.
So I had him file for it. He said, look, let's file a design patent for it. That's the easiest patent to get. And basically, if the people watching this, if they don't know what a design patent is, it's like a lamp. You can't patent a lamp, but you can patent the design for a lamp. You can have different types of lamps that you get a patent on, but you can't patent the idea of a lamp. So I had gotten a design patent because that was, like I said, that was the easiest patent to get. And I think I got that within a matter of, I'd like to say a year or two. It went very quick. But it was a matter of just getting that patent in. That was the most important thing, because once I put it out there, I had a lot of people start looking at it, and I didn't want to have any problems, and I didn't want to lose any rights to it. So, like I said, within a year or two, I received the design patent for it, and then with that, I stepped it up and I applied for a utility patent. Okay. And the utility patents take a bit longer and a little bit more costly, And I think it was about 3.5 years later, I received the utility patent.
Okay.
While they were working on the utility patent, I also applied for a patent in Canada, because I had started with trade shows, and I started meeting a lot of international people. And I applied for before I did that show, because I knew I was going to be meeting international people. I applied for the Canadian patent also.
Okay.
5 years later, and that's still in the works. Apparently, they work very slow in Canada. So,
okay. You're building your portfolio of patents around this invention, starting out with a design filing, interestingly. So I imagine before the design patent got granted, you filed that utility application.
Before
the design patent was granted.
Well, the problem with the design was that they kept confusing it with the shopping cart guards. Like if you go into a shopping center and they have those guards that you roll your shopping, they kept kicking it back because they said it's already been invented, because they have it for shopping carts. And the attorney kept going back and saying, no, it has nothing to do with shopping carts. It has to do with dumpsters. And they kept arguing until it was actually approved for the design as a framework that went around dumpsters. And then, so that was the first patent. That was the first patent that we got. And then there was utility. There was the utility after that. So that was what the order of operation was.
Got it. Yeah. Typically, so the other way around. Yeah, you go for the utility first, and as a fallback, go for the design.
Really?
It sounds like you've got both, and that's great. And so you're covering the design really does cover just the aesthetics, just the way that it looks, whereas the utility protects the functionality. Given that you've taken it to trade shows, you've published this, now you've sold nationwide, have you started to see any infringers pop up? Any copycats?
As a matter of fact, we just resolved the situation last month.
Okay.
It's just a coincidence.
Uh-huh.
I had a company, and because I cannot tell you who they are as part of the agreement.
Sure.
It was a company that had contacted me. They wanted to be an outside distributor. And I said, great. So I gave them what their pricing would be, wished them the best of luck. I'll speak to you soon. So they have their own website. They included our product on their website, which I was very happy about. And, but I never heard anything from them. And I was like, that's odd. These guys should be selling these things. And I would have people call me up and they would say, I see that there's a couple of companies that make this. I said, no, I'm the only one that makes it. I have a couple of people that sell it for me. He said, well, I know that I saw this other company. I said, yeah, well, they sell it, but I'm the originator of it. They buy it from me. And again, I didn't hear anything from them. Then I got a call out of left field asking me where they had purchased my product, and they were wondering when they were going to get it. I looked up in my files. I did not see an order. I called them up and I said, listen, I'm the owner of the company. I said, I looked at the files. I don't see an order for your product. Who did you buy this from? He says, well, I bought it from XYZ company. I said, oh, they sell my product, which at this point, they hadn't sold anything. They sell my product. Let me give them a call. Let me find out what's going on. So that was on a Friday. On a Sunday, that same week, on that Sunday, he sent me an email back saying, "Oh, I got the product in. Never mind." What are you talking about? You got it in. I didn't send them anything. If it was it comes from me. They sell it, but I still ship it out. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So I called him up first thing Monday morning. I said, "What are you talking about? You received it?" I said, "I didn't send anything out." So he says, well, I received it. I'll send you pictures. It was horrible. This thing was horrible. So he sent me a whole bunch of pictures.
The quality of the product.
The quality of
was
the
not
product
your,
was not mine.
right. So not only,
again, if you look at mine, it's labeled like a race car, or it has soft bends. Everything is soft about it. This thing was square cuts and it was already rusting and it looked terrible. So I called him up. I said, listen, call him up and send it back. Tell him you're sending it back. He waited like 3 months for this thing to come in. Call him up, tell him you're sending it back. I will send you a new one. I can't have this out there. I will send you a new one. Okay. And then I turned around and I called him up and I said, what are you guys doing? What, you're selling these things? You're having them manufactured by someone else and selling these things? Give me your boss. I want to talk to your boss. Never called me back.
Oh.
Long story short, found out that they were having it made in Pakistan and shipping it in. And again, it was a nightmare. So I had my patent attorney, which that's why we hire you gentlemen.
Yep.
I had my patent attorney go after them, and basically we settled. They pulled my product off their website. They had to reimburse me for products they had sold in the past, which is unfortunate because it put my product out there.
Sure. Yeah. And is your brand and reputation.
Reputation, sure.
Yep.
And that's why on my website I put in that I'm the only one that sells this product. Somewhere along those lines, I said that. But but it's still out there. So.
In a way, it's flattering when an inventor begins to get infringed or copycatted, because it means there's market demand, and
sure.
People, But at the end of the day, perhaps a big enough infringer could turn into a business partner, right? So who's willing to pay you, so long as they can make it a high enough quality, pay you a royalty or outright sale, for the rights to produce it. But for now, you're retaining that yourself, and very understandably. I guess last couple minutes here of our show, we didn't get a whole lot of live viewers, but just last 5 minutes, if anybody has any questions for Douglas, for myself on this area of innovation, this is the time to ask the question. I'll put this out there as maybe the final kind of line of questions is, looking back, I always like to ask lessons learned, things that you might have done differently in the course of, developing the product, getting it through the legal protection. We talk manufacturing. What are some of the biggest, maybe the biggest lessons learned? Something you might have done differently if you were to do it again?
If I was to do it again, I can't say that I would do anything different. Everything is a learning experience. If you don't have experience with something, you're gonna make mistakes. And the thing is, you have to learn from your mistakes. You always try to improve on your mistakes. Always learn from your mistakes and go forward. Don't dwell on your mistakes.
Yeah.
So
also, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Move forward.
I manufactured this myself. I had carpal tunnel surgery on both of my wrists because I was grinding these things out, and it caused damage. I have a company up in Pennsylvania now that does all my manufacturing, does all my powder coating. They do everything. All I do is I take the orders. I have a warehouse down here in the Northeast. We ship them out anywhere in the Northeast. Anywhere that goes cross country, they ship them out from down in Pennsylvania. And we have it down to a science at this point. But you learn. I learned that I cannot manufacture these on my own. Let's put it that way. You have to rely on other people. You have to have good attorneys. You have to have good people doing work for you. And you have to have the confidence in them that they're going to hopefully do the right thing by you. So that's how things work. That's how things have been working. It's been very rewarding so far. It's been, and the whole thing is, it's never been a money thing doing this. And as far as people watching this that may have ideas, don't go into the idea with, I'm going to make a ton of money off of this. It's the validation. Okay. The validation of putting something out there and somebody buying it. They've validated your idea, that it's a good idea, so much so that they're willing to pay for it. So,
yeah. I like how laser focused you were. Thank you, by the way. That was wonderful what you just said. I also say, I think you were laser focused on the problem identification, being in the industry of building construction and having that personal pain of these walls falling down. So clear, having that identifiable market need, and then solving it, and just going and solving it. You mentioned money isn't necessarily primary. it is something that people ask about a lot. And I will ask, are you willing to share? Do you have a return on investment that is sizable? Is it exciting? High? I mean, would you want to comment at all? Not me to mention numbers specifically, but what would you say on, have you got a good return on your time and money invested?
I would say yes. My New York City alone, let's put it this way. New York City alone is enough to put my daughter through 4 years of college, buy a new boat, and be comfortable enough that that I continue with my construction. Again, I have other businesses. This was basically a side hustle that kind of developed itself. Do we make money? Yeah, we do. We do make money. I'm actually looking for a licensing agreement now because I have other ideas that I want to move on, and this takes up a lot of my time. I'm splitting myself in too many directions, and I'm not dedicating enough time to this that I would like to. And I'd like to see somebody else pick it up, a big national company pick it up and run with it, rather than me kind of doing the side hustle. Like I said, the side hustle idea where I just kind of clunk along, doing one-offs or dealing with municipalities here and there, and just working very hard on it. So,
okay, love it.
I've learned a lesson. I've learned another lesson. So,
inventors invent. You want to kind of move on. It sounds like if you were to find a sweet deal, you'd be happy to do a licensing deal. You're open to that, is what I hear.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Well, good. Well, Douglas, thank you for sharing your time, your story with our Bold Inventor audience. Again, this will be published on our podcast and our YouTube channel. I'll be sure to follow up with you after our show to get you a copy if you need to, or answer any questions you've got. For myself and Bold Patents, we're going to wrap up our show. Hope you guys catch us next week. Go big, go bold.
Appreciate it.
Go big, go bold at boldip.com.